Hello from Lelit. Here the coffee machine Giulietta X model PL2SVX. For turning on the machine, you have to press the button. Here the version of the software of the machine, the name of the machine, and after a few seconds the display show the temperature inside the steam boiler and the name of the machine. For entering inside the technical menu of Giulietta X, we have to set the machine on idle off mode, and for doing it we have to press the keypad of the left group of the machine, and we have to press the continue coffee, and meanwhile the double espresso button. So first one for the second, so the machine turn in idle off mode. Once in idle off mode, we have to press the continue button for more or less 10 seconds until the display will show the name of the machine. So now we are in the technical menu. So the first thing that we can change in the technical menu is the name of the machine, or the sentence that we want that it's shown during the use of the machine. So for putting the letters or number, it's enough to press up and down the first two buttons, and for going on we have to press the third button. Once we finished to write what we wanted, we can go on in the technical menu by pressing the continue button. So here we can put the phone number of the technical, pressing always the first two buttons of the left group, and for going on the display we can use the third button of the double espresso button. Going on in the next section, we arrive to Crono function. That's when the coffee machine is delivered, it's always enabled, but pressing the two first button we can disable and enable it. With the Crono enabled, we can start the coffee shot, and on the display it will be shown the second of the shot. For example, now in the first group we have the chrono, the seconds of the shots. If we activate the second group, we have the chrono of the second group. So in the chrono operation, in the chrono mode, these values are saved for half minutes. When the chrono is off, is disabled, when we do the shot, on the displays is shown the command, the button that we press. For example, if we press the espresso coffee, single espresso coffee, here we found written espresso. For long espresso we find coffee. For double espresso we find 2 espresso. For double coffee we have 2 coffees, and here the continuous dose that it works until we press again the continuous flow. After the Crono we have the LED of the idle, it's enabled, and we can disable always pressing the first 2 buttons. So the LED inside the keyboard are, in this case when the LED idle is enabled, are lightening. When it's disabled, the LED are off. Here the keyboard type. The right keyboard is this one, espresso, cuff, 2 espresso, 2 cuff. We have to select always on this machine this keyboard, and we going on in the technical menu. Here the filling up plus coffee that must be enabled, and here the doses setting that has to be enabled. If we set the doses setting enabled, for going to the doses setting we must exit from the technical menu. So pressing the continue button, we going on in the different technical settings until we arrive to the idle off statement, and we press the 3rd button for going back to the normal operation. Once we exited from the technical menu and we gone out from the idle off mode, we came back to the normal operation mode. So for going to the counter setup, we have to press the continue flow button for more or less 5 or 10 seconds until we obtain the dosage setting select within 30 seconds on the display. So we have a 30 seconds to put the case and select the type of coffee we want to set the doses. Giulietta X has a volumetric counter for each group, and through this we can do the setting of the doses for each group. For execute the doses setting, we have to use a case, and we have to press the button of the single espresso, for example, and we have to wait the time that the machine needs to obtain the volume of the water that you want inside the cup. So for example, now for the single espresso I've done 22 milliliters of water. Now the LED, the light of the single dose is off, and the other lights are on. That means that we have to continue to set the doses with the other buttons. For example, we pass on the 2 coffees, 2 long espresso, that we want more or less 60 milliliter. So once the water level reached 60 milliliter, we turn off, we press again the button. We will do the same with all the buttons that we have. For setting the dose of the long espresso, we have to press this button until the water level reach the volume that we want. For example, now I will set the machine to 30 milliliter. When it's reached the level, we press again the button. Now I continue with the setting of the double espresso. For example, now I will set the dose to 44 milliliter of water, pressing the double espresso button. So now the volumetric, like with the other doses, are counting the time that the magnet gives the signal until it's reached 44 milliliters. So now I set lastly the double coffee to more or less 60 milliliter of water. And I press again the button of the double coffee. When we set the dose for the first group, the doses, the volume of the water are applied also to the second group. If we want to set differently each group, we can do it. For the doses setting of the second group, we do the same of the first group, selecting the coffee that we want to set, and stopping the dose when we reach the level that we want. The doses that we are setting now for the second group are not applied for the first group. Coming back to the technical menu, we can enable or disable the button of the continue flow. Going on by pressing the button of the continue flow, we arrive to T plus pump that has to be on no. Pressing to continue, we can disable or enable the Preinfusion. When we got the Preinfusion enabled, going on the technical menu, we can select the second for each function, for example espresso, coffee, double espresso, double coffee. For each group, the time where the pump is on, you can select the second by pressing the button, the first and the second button, and we can go on for each function of the keyboard. And time off, when the water that is coming from the pump is wetting the coffee without the pump is on. So we can select how many seconds we want the pump off. After the passing of the time on and off, the pump continue to work as normal. Here the probe sensitivity that could be on middle, high or low, and we can select it always by the two button. Going on, we can look how many service cycles the machine had. We go on, we have the temperature that could be enabled or disabled. That means that on the normal operation of the machine, the temperature inside the boiler is shown from the display, or if disabled, it does not be shown. If we continue after the temperature by pressing the continue button, we can choose to show the temperature with Celsius degree or Fahrenheit degree. So by selecting Celsius degree, we continue inside the menu and we select the temperature that we want to reach inside the boiler. The temperature can be set by pressing the first two button, and the minimum that we can reach is 110 and the maximum is 140. So we in default put the temperature, we set the temperature of 125 degree. After 15 minutes of inactivity, the machine changed the temperature inside the boiler, lowering the temperature, avoiding the overheating of the group's head. So we can select how low will be the temperature inside the boiler of the Giulietta X after 15 minutes of inactivity. When we reactivate the machine by pressing any of the button, the temperatures come back to the operational temperature that we set before, for example 125 degrees. If we go on, we can set other parameter, PID settings, and we can select if the energy saving is disabled or enabled, pressing the two button. The energy saving means that after 240 minutes the machine is not turning off, but the temperature inside the boiler go down to 110 Celsius degree, and pressing one of the button we can reach again the operational heating. So now if I put a value of 1 liter or 2 liter for the water filters, that means that when I consume 1 liter of water, an alarm of changing the water filter will be shown on the display. For example, now I am flowing 1 liter of water from the first group for showing the alarm. For delete the writing change water filter, we have to turn off the machine, and meanwhile we turning on the machine, we have to press the button, the third button and the third button. So we are pressing the two buttons and we turn on the machine, and it is shown filter reset. We release the buttons and we have the machine that's operating as normal. When we set the water filter capacity, we have to remember that the liters that the machine counts are only the water that's flowed through the groups and not from the tea or the steam. So if you use a lot of water from the boiler, you have to count and do an estimation of how many water you consume. So once we set the counter liters of the water filter, we go on in the technical menu and we finish it. The machine going back to the idle off mode. So for turning on the machine again, we press the third button. For checking the numbers of the operation the machine has performed, we have to press the continue button for more or less 5-10 seconds until on the display is shown those settings selected within 30 seconds. Then we have to press again the continue button and we enter inside the counters. Pressing the third button, we can see how many liters the groups consumed. Then we continue by pressing the continue button for seeing how many services has been done on the machine. Then the total of the coffee the machine has done, and for each command how many times has been done. So we continue to check by pressing the button of the continue. Until we turn back to the operational mode. If we want to reset the counters, we have to enter inside the counter menu by pressing the continue button. Then when it's shown those settings select within 30 seconds, press again the continue button, and then when the counters is shown on the display, we have to press the third button, and then continue with the continue button until we reach the coffee total. So when we are in this step, we have to press together the third and the fourth button until on the display will be shown totals reset. So now we reset the counters. For restore the factory settings of Giulietta X, we have firstly to turn off the machine. Before turning on again the machine, we have to press the first, the third and the fifth button together and turn on the machine again. We have to press the button until we obtain this sentence on the display: data preset completed. Once we obtain it, we turn off the machine. We turn on again the machine, and on display it will show an idle off function. So for activating the machine, we have to press the third button. So now the machine is restored to the factory settings.